He has an insurance. I mean, real estate. So. I mean, sorry.
It seemed like every move I made, I got in someone's way. So sorry about that. You do household residential.
Okay, everybody, we're going to get rolling. Good. Okay, we're going to get rolling. So thank you guys for coming to our second lunch. Hopefully we get to continue. Excited to be back again. We are going to start with invocation and pledge. So invocation is if you got replaced because you were getting food. Sorry. I didn't want to. I never get between a man in the military and his food. Right? Oh, there we go. So Jessica Larson is going to do our invocation, and Jeremy's going to do our pledge.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, we come to you today, and we are just so thankful as a business community that we can be here and together and to worship. And dear Lord, we just thank you for the work that you put to our hands. For we know that in your name we are doing great works. We are thankful for all of our local community, for our local governments that represent us, that are here to help us do good things in this world. We pray for the food that nourishes our body and the hands that made it, and for the community that we live in. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please rise and join me in honoring our nation's flag and saying our pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, ladies and gents. So we have a jam-packed schedule. Lots of good information we're going to hear today. So the introduction here is going to be a little bit brief. First, I want to say thank you to everybody, our elected officials, our chamber board members, and our sponsors. And I will also say the hardest working people for the chamber that are not actually employed by the chamber, our ambassador group. They really do a ton for us, guys. We are going to have a quick intro and announcement from Maisie and Ruby with Pack the Pantry.
Hi, I'm Ruby Knox, the Student Council President at Rockwall Youth High School.
And I'm Maisie Johnson, the Student Council President at Rockwall High School.
We need your help. We are packing the pantry for Helping Hands in partnership with Rockwall ISD's Toyota of Rockwall Food Drive.
Pack the Pantry is a competition between the two high schools, but our ultimate goal is to help our community. Pack the Pantry kicked off at the RASD convocation and will end on September 20th.
The winner will be announced at the I-30 Classic pregame on September 24th.
We have set up 2 Amazon wish lists, which can be found on the QR codes on the flyers that we handed out to y'all, one for Rockwall High School and one for Rockwall Youth High School.
All donations for RHS will be delivered to Rest Haven, and all donations for RHHS will be delivered to Regal Realtors.
From there, we will work with our officer groups to take all the donations to Toyota of Rockwall.
Thank you all for your help.
And have a great day.
Excellent job, ladies. Alrighty, so a couple of announcements. I'm excited to say Leadership Rockwall is back for 2021. Yeah, a lot of you guys have been through it, and it's an amazing program. Applications went live yesterday. There might be some on the table. It looks like this. So anyone that is interested in applying, see if there's one of these on your table, but also see Miranda. Oh, or you have some? Yeah, okay, so they have some at the front desk, and you can see Miranda after this as well to get more information. Excellent program. I hear the leader this year is amazing. This guy, and that guy, and Jared Schweers and Lacey Decker. So if you live or do business in Rockwall, I really encourage you to spend time going on the Chamber of Commerce website and looking at the calendar of events. There are many events designed to help you and your business be successful that are listed there. The Chamber works very hard for us in the Rockwall community. We're very lucky to have that within Rockwall County. A couple of things, we are going to be finalizing some dates very soon, I believe, on the Rockwall Economic Development meeting. And then dates just got finalized for an update on Sapphire Bay. So please check the calendar and look for those events. A lot of things that can help you out there for, again, personally or professionally. So next, moving right along, I'm going to get Judge Sweet up here. And Judge Sweet is going to MC our presentation today.
Give me my mic directions now. That one's going to the speaker, right?
This will be speaker. And Faith,
All right. Yeah, Faith's going to be first. Before we get started, I do want to say and just speak to or touch on something that we're all very, very aware of, how blessed beyond measure that we are to live in Rockwall County. Rockwall County this past year, again, it's all about growth. Percentage-wise, Rockwall County once again was the fastest growing county out of all the counties in North Texas. I know that's a mixed bag sometime for us, but we did have 6% growth countywide. Because of many reasons, high quality of life. I think our business community is a big, big part of that. For the services they provide, the business or the work opportunities that we enjoy as a result of having these businesses in our community, and definitely our school districts. Both of our two school districts are. I'm so proud of them. They do such an outstanding job, the Rockwall ISD and Royce City ISD. But I'll tell you something, folks, and the big deal about that, or another part of the equation that we can't dismiss, is our well-ran cities. They face unique challenges balancing the need for increased services that our citizens deserve and they expect in a fast-growing area, focused on, again, that quality of life and improving and investing in the necessary infrastructure for growth in a fiscally responsible manner. So, on behalf of all of us at Rockwall County, to each and every one of you that are employed with each one of our cities, that are the elected officials, those that are involved in economic development, thank you for what you do. It is truly a privilege to be able to work with you. We're going to start off first, and we're going to hear from the mayor and the city manager of the City of Faith. So I'm going to go through this intro for both of you two gentlemen. And the mayor, I know you're going to go first, and if you can, you'll just hand it over to Mr. Kovac, please. It says Mayor David Billings is currently serving the Faith community. He describes his leadership style as being a leader who is personally invested in the mission of the city, knowing helping the residents and focusing on the needs of the community today and those that will come in the future. His passion is in excellent communications and reinventing local government to be more citizen-driven. He is known for meeting at the local shops to discuss concerns with residents over a meal. David has extensive experience in Texas local government, including serving as Faith Mayor Pro Tem during the COVID pandemic, where he assisted in leading the city during unprecedented times. He has also served as a council member, a planning and zoning commissioner, Rockwall County Emergency Services Corporation board member, and on the Rockwall County Consortium. And he knew better before he signed up as an elected official with this next one. It says additionally, he previously served on the Forks Township City Council in Pennsylvania in various leadership roles. Before retirement, David devoted 32 years of service to AT&T and is a Navy submarine veteran. And again, after Mayor Billings, we'll hear from City Manager Michael Kovac. It says Michael has served as Faith City Manager since 2014 and has over 22 years of experience in city management. Michael was last city manager in Galveston, Texas, where he worked to further the city's recovery from Hurricane Ike. Prior to Galveston, Michael was an assistant city manager in Park City, Utah, the city manager for Port Aransas, Texas, the town administrator in Surfside Beach, South Carolina, and the city administrator for Presidio, Texas. Michael has an MBA and a BA from Texas A&M University in Corpus Christi. A dual citizen of the USA and Canada, Michael served during the First Gulf War in the Canadian Army Mechanized Infantry Regiment. Let's give both these two guys a big round of applause.
Thank you for having us today. First thing, I have to admit I'm not Justin Weiss, so I apologize for that in advance. As you know, Justin does a great job in presenting our story. When we get started is I'll talk about how we govern in faith, and Michael's going to talk about economic development in faith for us. So let's get this. All right, this is the Faith City Council. We are a city manager-led and city council-led government. And we have a really great council that works together really, really well. And I'm very proud of them, the work that we do together. It's amazing work. wrong way again. Some fun facts. We are 12 square miles. We have published in 19,230. If you were here in Fate 10 years ago, it's like 653. It's an amazing, fast-growing city, and I would bet today we're at 20,000 and growing quickly. And we have 163 businesses in Fate right now. And as Michael will show you, we're growing quickly in the business community, and our economic development plans are well established and well underway. So it's really good news. Home permits. This just tells the story, right? We're on track to exceed home permits this year again, and we have about 2,500 home permits still approved but not built. If you do the math real quickly, we can get to 30,000 in population very, very fast, right? There's also presents a lot of challenges for Fate. And what we do in Fate, wrong way again, we try to govern by a partnership between the citizens of Fate, our leadership team, and the council. We work really hard to engage them, give them feedback, honest, open, and transparent government. The good days and there's bad days. I have people watching on Facebook, you'll know there's more about good days, but a lot of bad days. We're trying to answer really good questions. But I'm so proud of the community. They are so engaged and they ask us questions and hold us accountable, really good question. And that's really a remarkable thing to do for our city. Another thing we do is we have a survey we do every year. And what the survey does for us, it gives us feedback real time or once a year on how we're doing. And that's important, right? If you're going to have a co-equal partnership between your city, the citizens, and the city employees, we need to understand how well we're doing. We've done it for 3 years, and we'll keep doing it. And that gives us direct input to the direction, the policies, and how we're doing in Fate. One of the updates is my video updates I do every once in a while. A little scary, I know, sorry about that. Instead of a Facebook post all day, we're trying to communicate updates, what our strategy is doing, where we're going forward. The other thing we do is write op-eds. You've seen them probably. We try to align the division of Fate, get people to understand Rockwall County because we're so integrated as a county. It's really important for us to really think about on how we work together going forward in Fate. So next slide. Another thing we do is this is the Great American Cleanup in Fate. We engage the community, we do things together. In this case, Michael, myself, and Councilman John Brandt, we pull weeds in the community. It was a long day, morning actually, but it was really good that we engaged them and we do it together. And I'm really passionately believing that if you work together and you trust them, you can create a great city going forward. So that's what a good example of that happening. So the question is, govern the Fate way, right? And so how are we doing going forward? So the first one is a slide about, I can't see that far, is how well we're doing. So the public information services went from 41% approval to 63%. We spent a good year trying to fill that void of factual information and what the ecosystem would not produce rumors or false information to the community at large. That's a great, and that's because of Jessica and Michael and then the city staff have done a wonderful job of doing that. Another one, the value of services paid to Fate of the taxes, 34% to 53%. That's a big leap if you think about it. You know, do we spend our tax money wisely in the way we're supposed to? Overall direction is 67%. The job the city Fate government does of residents is 59%. And this one I love the most, and you hear me, I'm sure people hear me brag about this all the time. Their faith in the city council is 59%. And I guarantee you most cities cannot say that going forward because we engage them, we work really hard at doing that. And do we act in the best interest of the community going forward? That's 59%. And that's because we spend really a lot of time engaging them and trying to figure out what their needs are so we best serve their needs. Quality of life. 89% rate Fate as a good place to live. 75% give positive marks to all of our reputation of Fate. And that's really important for us to continue that. And we're a safe community going forward, right? If 90% people who live in Fate would recommend to live in Fate, 82% remain We're going to plan to remain the next 5 years in faith, which is really astounding if you think about the movement. A lot of people move around the country and the county today. Friends, over time, the feeling safety, 93% love faith DPS. They work really hard in engaging and doing the right thing, finding the balance between law enforcement and the needs of the community going forward, and find that relationship, which is in today's world, it's hard to find. And they're extremely great at doing this, and the citizens have responded to that. And it's really important that we keep doing that. So, right, we talk, you hear this about in politics all the time, servant leadership, right? You hear it, everybody says it, it's kind of a talking point. This is just, it illustrates to you a extraordinary partnership we have between the staff and the council. We work together on everything. Do we agree all the time? The answer is no. But we do find common ground, the answer is yes. And that's really important as we go forward, because citizens have to believe in city council meeting 11 o'clock at night or midnight executive session that you're doing the right thing for them with the right heart and the right reasons going forward. And I cannot tell you how proud of our city staff, the city council on doing this. They truly believe that their job is to do the best interest of faith. And they do it every day, and they'll keep doing it all the time. So I'm really proud of them doing that. This is the Govern the Faith way. We have a vision. It is different, as Michael's going to talk to. Industry, we're trying to build on a commercial base. We're also trying to conserve space where we can, old churches, create parks, try and really create a positive quality of life experience in faith where you want to, work, live, and play. Teamwork, right? We talk about this a lot, but I keep talking about it because we work together as a city organization where we're organized and we're clean. I cannot tell you how many times how proud of the staff is of the job they do at a very small cost to us. That's why we have a lower tax rate. But they do an extraordinary job, and that's really important. Results, we measure our results. We know what we're doing. We know what we need to improve on. We know what we have to do going forward to comp plan. I think that's extraordinary that we have a vision for a city, but we measure it. We understand it. And the last one is always you. It's the business community in Rockwall, the business community in Fade, the citizens of Fade, and our staff. And right now I'll turn over to Michael, and he can talk to you about what we are doing in Fade. So thank you.
All right, fantastic. All right, let's talk a little bit about current development. Everybody wants to kind of see what's going on. So this is a picture of our downtown and some of the different projects that are in flux. This is an area of concentration. You're going to see this again coming up, but all sorts of things going on. We've got a park that just went to mobilization on a contract to do part of that park. I'll mention that a little bit later. And then just everything that you see little numbers by, there's something going on, either overtly or covertly, in the interest of economic development. And if y'all haven't been here, have y'all been here yet to Pablo's? Oh my goodness. Check, yeah, if you have not been to Pablo's, this is the 3-story mixed use building that went in, is now full pizza. The pizza guys are just about in. They're working on their stuff, but this is a big tax producer as far as you look at the amount of jobs, the amount of sales tax, and the amount of property tax that comes from this one little building is off the charts. It was an economic development deal, didn't happen naturally. We own the land. There's quite a process, RFPs and everything, making sure it's legal, but we were able to incentivize this development. And we've got about 3 more buildings. I think we've got 2 ready to go to permit, and we got another 3 ready to go in plan review pretty soon. We did win the Texas Economic Development Council's Economic Development Award for the year, which is kind of fun. It's a club, I guess. I think Carlin, the Royce City guys, you guys all know about the Texas Economic Development Council. I'm sure you're in it, and y'all did some great things there too. But yeah, we got a chance to win that award, so that's great work by our economic development staff, and of course, partnership with City Council. They had to go along with all this stuff and go through all the tough pieces. Sometimes it goes well your way, and then it doesn't go your way, and eventually we are put together. Sauce and Vine, this is kind of a fun place that we're working on with a local restaurant here. That's in the works. This is a building that one of the ones we were talking about that is getting ready to go to permit. It's a pretty neat little place. So we're trying to get kind of a mix of commercial and residential if we can. Some of these buildings are totally commercial. None of them right now are totally residential, but those will come kind of off Main Street as we focus on trying to get customers for those businesses kind of built in. And there's a little different view. Here's another different building. This one's already ready to go to permit pretty soon. And another different view. This is a project that we didn't really, this is not incentivized, so to speak, at this point, but this is something we're working on. This is kind of version 2, just to the east of our downtown. So someone developed the property, came in, we assisted with zoning for it. A little bit edgy at the time, but I think this is another rendition of kind of an intensification several years later. They didn't build it, they flipped the property. And now the new guys are coming in, they're looking at something even more intense. So quite a few residents, there's some businesses on the bottom of some of these. In this section here, on the bottom, that would front Main Street in Fate, just as you're kind of coming up the Fate Main from the I-30, if you're coming from the east. Another building that is kind of in the works. So you might see a pattern. You might see a pattern here. Here's our park. This is the downtown park. This is the total kind of design, if you would say. This is kind of the final design. Can you believe that last year costed about I think it was about 5.8 million, 5.3, something like that. Pretty high. Those were last year's numbers before inflation. So we've decided only to do a couple pieces. We've got some cash. We're going to focus on the areas there at the bottom, and the stuff shaded in gray we'll do later. As we have cash available, we write grants. And that's the kind of the promenade area that'll be going in. And the laser will work. Yeah, somewhere over here, there's also, that's where the Sauce and Vine is, kind of nearby to the east. This is a cool little moving picture thing that our consultants in Austin put together that are helping us work on the comprehensive plan. And it kind of shows you, oh, there's the old Fate grocery right there. You can kind of see some of the different concepts, maybe some different road alignments. And that eventually will be the Fate downtown area. There's the old existing downtown buildings. There's the new building that we just looked at. There's the public safety station turning into something else someday. Great idea, Russ. You did a good job there. So you can kind of see the intent is to really focus on this core of the city. In fact, that thing back there that's the old version of that white building that you saw. So it's kind of just amazing how the market changes within 5 years. Just kind of night and day, that you can almost double the intensity of the uses on that property. All right, so some stuff that's open that you can come shop. Part of our strategy is to say, you'll see this is really different. So our strategy is not to be Royse City and not to be Rockwall, although those are great places. They have some amazing places. Love downtown Royse City, amazing place. Go there every chance I get. Love downtown Rockwall, there all the time. The harbor, we got some really neat stuff here. But what we want to do is we want to get people, like, what would make someone from Rockwall or Royse City come shop in Fate? So kind of some fun stuff. We got the Creamery. Sonic is kind of a typical place, and so is Witch Witch, but we got our own citizens need some of that, so we've got that. But Men's Meal Prep is open. That's a nice addition to that 3-story building. Pablo's is amazing. Yes, well, don't try to hit it like peak. If you want to give you a tip, like you want to show up when it opens, and then you have a chance. But it's really good. The Specs, that was a multi-year effort. We didn't actually talk to Specs. Specs came to us. But what we did is we started chipping away at the alcohol rules in the city. So we did the beer and wine, and then we did and the council members were, rah-rah. They were like on the street with the petition, working it. And eventually what happens is you deregulate enough and you focus enough of your attention, you get people like Specs to recognize what you're up to, and here they come. It's a great place. And then, of course, we had this just opened on, I think last week, the meat market. So New Mexican Meat Market. There was one kind of there on the North Service Road, just before you get to Mobile City, if you're going east. Or I'm sorry, if you're going west from Royse City. So we have a new place. So we wish them luck. That was great. We actually turned down, can I tell a little story about this real quick? You'll let me know if I'm running out of time. So sometimes when you're a council member and you're a mayor and you're a staff member, you've got all these decisions to make about sometimes economic development and you're after it and it's not as difficult, but sometimes it's like a zoning decision, right? You have to tell somebody either yes or no. So you've got a special use permit or you've got a zoning change and you've got like a legit business, people buying property or they've got a contract on the property, they're needing the zoning before they close. And we're gonna do, something kind of mediocre, but you're like, well, at least it's something, they'll get the building in use, et cetera, et cetera. So we had, this building was destroyed almost in the winter storm because they had a pipe break. One of our officers came up on the building and it was like a movie where the door was like halfway up with water. You see through this. So yeah, we helped with that one. But so a company came in and they wanted to do a kind of like a car lot type place where you buy and sell cars. You buy the cars online, and this was like a distribution area. And the council said no. They said no, we're not going to get enough sales tax. Like this doesn't make sense. So we were like, well, part of you want like, well, I don't want to say no to business. I don't want to be anti-business. At least they'll fix the building. How long is that building going to sit there with the repairs? Did they make the repairs? Did they not make the repairs? And it turns out, in the order of maybe 4 or 5 months later, here comes a sales tax contributing business. That would, not that the cars wouldn't have been good, but something that adds more to the community fabric. So tough decisions sometimes with your zoning and your special use permits. All right, stuff coming soon. The gala. This is really neat. So much, and there's so much interest in this. If y'all have relatives or friends and you're looking at getting out of the house and downsizing, this is a senior-only development. It's about 194 units. It is a tax credit competitive deal. I think we used a 6% TDHCA application. We have a private partner. We're using a vehicle called the Public Facilities Corporation for you municipal folks. It's a weird hybrid sort of entity that the city basically runs, kind of like an economic development corporation but focused on building public buildings. And this is a private-public venture with a profit share, which is kind of cool, and an exit clause for the city a little bit later, which we've also built in. So it's really neat, and so it's income stratified. So there would be people that pay market rate, but depending on their income, and their target is to hit 60% of AMI, or area median income, which in Rockwall is actually fairly high. So a retired person pulling in $65,000 a year would be kind of their perfect target. They have to have so many people in that range. So the gala at Fate, I really want to see how many applications we get because there's only a couple hundred units. Fresh, what's not to love about the Fresh store? This is also a good story. We'll skip it, but it's coming. And there's some pictures. It's a construction picture. Yep, there we go. Walls going up. Pretty neat. They've got kind of some traditional pad site stuff around the edges. Different people are coming in. I think Taco Bell. Not excited about Taco Bell. Not excited, but it's okay. It's great. We need a Taco Bell. People need, you have 20,000 people or 25,000 people. You have to have a Taco Bell. So we got one coming in there, and there's all sorts of little stuff popping in there. The area just to the southwest of this, actually, the council just made a really cool decision. The developer approached us for some townhome. Now this is another hard one. You really have to put your thinking cap on and say, okay, we have all this commercial property. How do we, it's the highway, it's not placemaking, but how do you try to get kind of something else going there and to get some sort of a different feel? So they just approved about 200 townhomes. I think it's about 200 townhomes. And the price point on those townhomes are between $250 and $350 for a townhome behind a grocery store. Can you believe it? Before inflation. So I don't know what they cost. I don't know what they cost now, $400,000. But yeah, townhomes behind. They're going to try and kind of align some of the streets. So you'll notice the way these streets are designed by we worked in tandem with the developer, one of our consultants. So someday, if you can imagine, 30, 40 years from now, when we all have flying cars, we don't need parking lots as much, maybe, or you have jetpacks or whatever you have. So all these parking lots are designed in these fire lanes. The fire lanes turn into streets and the parking lots turn into buildings someday. It's kind of cool. Gotta look way forward. So residential development, of course, there's a ton of people that live in Fate. We love them. There are neighbors. There's neighbors everywhere, especially at peak traffic in the morning. Okay, so here's the Justin's Franken map. So that some of you were at Rotary, you got to see this. But this development here is called Montera. That was a lawsuit settlement, and that is now going to a PID. There's an industrial park, kind of cool, off to the west of that, which will provide for some industrial space. So if you're looking for industrial space, kind of in the Rockwall area, a little bit lower tax rate, there is a PID, so that will kind of make that up a bit. But we've got some space there. Lots and lots of units still available. The old, back in, I would say maybe it was about 15 years ago, so much of our town was permitted for single family, just one after the other. We have in-city MUDs, which are awful. We have PIDs, which are almost as awful. And folks pay a lot of taxes to those entities, but we do have quite a bit going. And you'll see kind of in the middle here, like, what is that? What is that? And that is one of our focus areas. We're going to take a look at that in a second here. But first, I think we're going to talk about a comprehensive plan. So this is just a quick little video, break it up.
Fate is a really unique community, and that there isn't a lot of development that's been done. I have never worked in a community that is such a clean slate, and I feel very privileged to be here right now in this space where kind of the world is our oyster. I mean, Fate can really do anything that it wants to do. And so this is a way to preserve that. It's a way to make sure that we're doing things that positively impact the city so that we can sustain all the great work we've done in the past. And it's a way to preserve the vision for the future, to make sure that Fate stays just as special tomorrow as it is today.
What we've been doing doesn't work. It's a familiar pattern of development, it's a familiar concept, but what happens is every city that accepts continuous status quo development and all of the infrastructure that comes with it is eventually going to be bankrupt. That's the clear reality, and we recognize that. And so through this comprehensive plan, we're trying to do something real about that. We're trying to pivot away from that traditional development pattern and find a way to create a whole holistic community that everybody can enjoy, but not at the expense of our future, of our children and their children's children, and the liabilities that they're going to be beholden to because we didn't change, because we didn't do something different. In doing something different, we're actually going beyond just saying we want to be unique, but making difficult decisions through this comprehensive plan process to create a unique identity, to stand out among our neighbors as a city that has taken the harder path to create a more vibrant future for ourselves.
We're in that spot where we're a growing suburb. We've replicated the development patterns of the other suburbs that have been gone by us, so the Garlands and the Mesquites and the Rowletts and the Rockwalls. People have pretty well followed the same recipe. We're at a point where we know if things continue as they will, that we're in trouble. We got to do something different, or else we're going to fall into decline, like so many of the first-ring suburbs have already started. So that's why it's important for us. And really, it's simple. It's a simple equation. It's a matter of how much value is being created for how much infrastructure we're using to create that value. We've got to be able to take care of public safety. We've got to have great utilities. We've got to continue to have good schools, and we've got to be able to repair all of our infrastructure, take care of all the things we need to take, and still do quality of life projects like trails, parks, and things people can use to keep their public health up.
Well, comp plan is important for the city of Fate because it's really, establishing that, short-term and long-term vision about how to develop the most important resource that any community has, which is their land. Land is being, built out at an exponential rate, and the city of Fate is really fortunate right now that we hope as this planning process goes through that we really develop a plan where people can age in place, basically, where you can actually, raise your kids here, have them go through the school district and have them come back. That is really probably one of the most critical things about a comprehensive plan is really hopefully creating that community where people want to come back to and live their entire life.
moving forward, we have a lot of great opportunities for the public to be involved. We have a joint work session coming up with the council as well as different entities that have contributed to this planning process, and all of that is open to the public, and those are always really great discussions with wonderful speakers. And then we'll move into the adoption process, and so that'll be very similar to kind of how we started, with numerous events and open houses to allow citizens to come in and voice their opinion on what has been done so far, and things that make them happy and things that kind of give them heartburn, and what can we do to make sure that by the end of the process we have a plan that everyone is on board with and excited about.
This is not a document or a blueprint that is just done inside an envelope, inside of a bubble. This is the community's blueprint. So we want to ensure that this is equitable throughout the entire community, and this is really the citizens' voice that is really driving and shaping the community into the future. Again, I think we certainly encourage the community involvement and continue to go to www.forwardfaith.com to track the progress. We have several different videos up there. We're going to continue to update that website with some additional educational opportunities. And feel free to reach out to us, if there are any questions that people may have.
All right, so comprehensive plan in the works, should be ready for adoption. I just want to show you one little piece of this. And look at this. This is what we call the focus area. So the picture on the right is the old downtown, and you can kind of see how we're trying to incentive. Right now we're doing a lot of incentives to get stuff going as far as the multi-story stuff, but what we want to start to see the market start to absorb some of this stuff. And as we're creating this cool place to be, that redevelopment begins and goes into that old grid, and then as it spills off to the southwest, to the picture to the left, you can see how we're trying to take and say, okay, this area here, basically we're trying to build a city around the highway, like a real city. So it should be neat, and it should be a really neat place to live, cool place to visit, and just right in your backyard. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Michael, for the hard work. I tell you what, these guys that live, so proud to work with folks that operate outside that box, stretch that vision, and make the tough decisions to invest in making faith the community that it is and what folks expect us to move forward. A couple of comments under businesses. But I hadn't been to Pablo's. That's good stuff. And then my prior life working in the grocery industry, that Brookshire's Fresh store. Look out, that sucker's something else. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Also want to recognize, before I turn this over, we make our way south to the other side, to the city of Heath. I want to recognize a couple of folks that I have the privilege of working with. Commissioner Nickel out of Precinct 4. How are you, ma'am? And then, where's Big Money at, the treasurer for Rockwell County, David Peak? I saw him a moment ago, but David, good to see you. All right, let's make our way, as I said, to the south side of the county, and we'll go to the city of Heath. And I want to have the privilege of being able to introduce the president of the Heath Economic Development Corporation, the Heath Municipal Benefits Corporation, David Lane. So David Lane has been a Rockwall Heath resident for 23 years. He was appointed by the Heath City Council to the boards of the Heath Economic Development Corporation and the Heath Municipal Benefits Corporation in 2014, and has served as the president for the past 4 years. David has planted both his personal and professional life in Heath. He is now in his 20th year as the president and CEO of Impact Selector International, ISI, a small boutique global oil field services and technology company. ISI provides equipment and services around the globe and has offices in Heath, Houston, Louisiana, Scotland, Norway, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Australia. Prior to ISI, David had his own investment banking firm, Lane Link Group, also headquartered in Heath. David earned a BBA with honors in finance from the University of Miami, Florida, the U, and a Master of Business Administration with a specialization in finance and international business, also from the U. David and his wife, Debbie, have 3 children living in Heath and 2 adult children in Arkansas and in Vancouver. In his spare time, David enjoys walking through Heath and, when he can, walking on the beach. Both the Lane family and ISI are active supporters of the Heath Park and Trails program and the annual City of Heath special event series. Let's welcome David to the stage.
figure out how to work multiple hands here with the microphone and such. And I guess this gives me the Zoom feel to where I'll be actually able to feel like I'm on Zoom with the monitor that's up against the wall. So, like Judge Sweet said, been in Rockwall Heath for a superior length of time. I'm a volunteer, council appointed, Heath citizen. My business is in Heath. My global business is in Heath. I am a sales tax payer, not a sales tax payee of receiving benefit from the sales tax. And I'm 100% dedicated, to the city of Heath, and I'm glad to be able to present as a volunteer, as a business owner, as a Heath resident. So for that, I thank the council, Mayor Elam, who governs our city, Mayor Pro Tem Frank New, Rich Kraus on council, Donna Rolander, and John Beeman. And then we also have Brent and Paul Ruffo as our other councilman members as we kind of go forward with our ultimate guidance and direction of the city of Heath. So my house was affected by the storm, and thank goodness that I wasn't able to pull out my kilt for all of you to be able to wear. I did pull out the only thing we had left that was in boxes, as my wife said, make sure you pull a sport coat and a shirt and a pair of slacks, because again, we're still in shorts and stuff at our office due to COVID and what's going on of getting through it. So as we decided, to kind of get into this, there's a long history in Heath, definitely. It's 141 years of history in Heath that we've been around with a unique demographic. The city has basically 9,500 current population with a build-out opportunity of 18,000 with kind of permits and kind of houses, permits on the ground. The average household income is $193,000. The median age is right in the mid-40s, and our educational attainment, over 80% of the citizens of Heath have had some sort of college, with 56 actually with an actual degree and or multiple degree. So what do you do when you plan of doubling your city? Well, you have to go out and look at your current households and your projected households and come up with exactly what Faith has done, a comprehensive plan. So in 2018, the city of Heath went forward with a comprehensive plan to basically go through and have the development plan and guidance that's needed so that you can attain basically doubling your population plus 25% over a period of time. So it's uniform, you don't have spot, you don't have stuff everywhere else, you basically can have that uniform plan. So when you say, we don't want growth, well, we're gonna have growth. And the reality is you have to address that reality. And the Heath City Council and the City of Heath has been very active in proactively planning that growth through the comprehensive plan and the other projects that we're working on. So as you look at the reality and focusing on growth, it's always, again, guided growth. So the future growth, we need to maintain the City of Heath as a semi-rural charm that's basically bringing the service and amenities that make Heath home. So the guidance of every city. Other than we currently still have cow pastures, we currently have barns, we have buildings, we have horses, and we want to keep that feel. And how do you keep that feel when you're trying to double your population and it's going to increase by 1.25 times over a period of time? So what's truly driving growth in Heath at this pace? I guess I need to catch up. There we go. So initially, the plan was we complete Highway 740 coming into the entrance of our city. So we used to have the 2-lane road very congested getting in and out of the city of Heath. And so now we have a main artery, it's complete. And ultimately is, the saying goes, if you build it, they will come. So as 740 has been complete, we've engaged in many projects with the city and coming up with the CVS pharmacy at that entrance of the city of Heath. You have Standard Service, which is our new kind of entertainment venue restaurant, Manny's Tex-Mex, Gianni's, and it's all anchored by a major Tom Thumb grocery store is our kind of entrance into the downtown or city of Heath. So this growth brings great contribution in sales tax to our city, which ultimately you can see has gone from a sales tax base of about 1.1 million in 2016 to over 2 million in 2020, with projected even higher in 2021. And obviously, or maybe some of you don't know, some of the increase in growth comes from business, some of it comes from online sales. We've done a lot of public kind of growth initiatives to try to understand, to have our citizens to do business in Heath and buy things and have them delivered in Heath and make sure their Heath address is coded for sales tax. So this provides the EDC a budget to work with and the ability then to start planning and going forward with reasonable and care in knowing of what we should invest our money in and how we can promote additional investment and additional sales tax dollars, additional business, and additional quality of life in the city of Heath. So our mission is to retain and attract distinctive economic development. We want to expand our city's sales tax and commercial property tax base, reinvest sales tax dollars to enhance our quality of life, and help Heath businesses succeed. So what's the magical formula? You want to basically grow your city. You want to keep Heath Heath. You don't want to have potential big box stores come into the city of Heath and take over. You need to have a certain level of density. So what ultimately becomes that magical formula? Well, we're trying to figure that out. And we're working with planning and trying to get these things worked out where sales tax equals growth. You need to have business growth to have sales tax growth. You need a small town feel. You need to keep Heath Heath. We need amenities and services that are going to be able to allow people to desire to come to Heath, desire to stay in Heath, but at the same not overcompensate in generating revenue to be able to have these services and pay for these services. With the ultimate goal of having actual taxes remain consistent. We also have a policy of not necessarily wanting to go into the debt markets for our city. So we're going to continue to try to do this on a pay-as-we-go type system, which ultimately leads to our plan of why the EDC and growth in Heath becomes ultimately more important. So our quality of life for our residents becomes a vital impact and a vital piece of what we're trying to do in Heath through economic development. So what exactly does the HEDC and the HEMBC do? So we offer the creative and flexible assistance to businesses through loans, grants, ground lease arrangements, marketing grants, tax abatements, and other type of programs that will enhance business or facilitate business and business owners to basically want to do business in the city of Heath and want to do business with us as the city of Heath and moving forward with buildings, what these need to look like, our architectural committee, these different things, and help navigate that process with council to have a smooth and easy process to conduct business. So as we look at this, one of the great owned assets of the Heath EDC is we own a 20 acre parcel of land. We have 25 acres that we purchased years ago. We've sold about 5 acres to the Hidden Creek organization, the event center. But this is on Cooney Drive over by Heath High School. And it's basically allowing us to be flexible with different types of land leases or different types of land opportunities for sale, for economic incentives and stimulus for businesses through our EDC-owned land. So our initial projects have brought success and growth. Of what we've done in our recent projects are Standard Service, where we partnered with the owners of Standard Service with a grant and a loan payback through revenue type arrangement. Hidden Creek, where we basically entered into them with a land lease agreement, which was very beneficial to their favor for their first 5 years to get started in the business, with an option for them then to acquire the land, of which they acquired the land for market value in 2019. The Texas DOT right-of-way, so when they did the 740 project, there was some Texas right-of-way land that was left right in front of the Tom Thumb. So the EDC purchased that portion of land for the city of Heath, so now we'll own the right-of-way, the old 740 piece of land there to do something with, such as a park, a pedestrian venue, a welcoming area to the city of Heath, and we're currently working with the business owners on both sides of that parcel of property to do kind of a joint development of getting something as kind of an entry point into our kind of downtown center. So one item that we're really, really proud of, along with these projects that we've done, is, the elephant in the room or coming back in the room, and that's COVID, okay? In the city of Heath, as everyone else, we needed to do something as quickly as we could for our local businesses. So within a 30-day time frame, we put forward a plan to come up with a COVID relief actual grant program. We got city council buy-in. We got all the documents in place. We got legal in place. We got applications in place. We had business owners submit these applications. And within 30 days, we had more than, I believe, 10 businesses get their first round of funding from the Heath EDC. In total, we had 3 rounds of funding based on need. We saw as progress as COVID kind of backed off and kind of went down. Some of the businesses didn't need the additional funding. They were back on track. We helped them get back on track, so it was good, kind of a good bridge to get through the time when some of the restaurants and the hair salons and things like that were actually closed and inoperable to keep employees. It didn't interfere or impact with the PP loan process or their PPP loan grants. We stayed totally away from mixing and matching those potential things. And in the end, we almost, we had a $500,000 bucket that we set aside in our budget for helping businesses, and $389,000 was granted over the period of the 3 phases of our program. So when businesses started to open, again, as the EDC, we did some promotion with the city to try to get people to do business in Heath, get back out in the restaurants, get back in things, wear a mask, those types of things as we needed to. And then we wanted to keep this momentum going. We wanted to keep the momentum going forward for our city, coming out of this really kind of public-private kind of partnership with the COVID relief program. And ultimately, we entered into an agreement with Kimberly Horn to design a downtown overlay district for our master plan of where we would put together, what kind of amenities, what kind of vision with blocks and streets, what kind of businesses would we want going into our downtown overlay district based on our comprehensive plan and use rules and things that have been put in place. This was funded and directed by the EDC with input from council. It involved many stakeholders and owners of the property that are involved in this, board members from council, board members from the EDC, staff, city staff, and then the most important piece was actually having true stakeholders involved of what they want and the vision they see for building their land or building upon their land. So this is a plan we put together to say, hey, look, this is the city and private working together to come up with something that's really going to look cool and look good and be long-term for the next 30 years for the city of Heath. Understanding, in downtown city of Heath, we do not desire to have multifamily. We do not desire to have sincere density. We're looking for the small rural hometown feel. We're looking to basically go in and pick and choose the businesses that come into the city of Heath versus mass marketing or the shotgun approach to go out and just have people come in, which is beneficial of understanding what are the physical needs for our city, what are the limitations of our city, and what exactly do our residents want. So it also involved focus groups with residents and coming up with, this is our draft plan where we're going to a phase 3, which was approved at our EDC meeting last week. So simultaneously with the planning and develop of a master plan, we put together an EDC funded, through the parks, through EDC funding, we put together a parks plan, the Town Center Park Master Plan. So much as what Fate has done, we've put together something that is right on the vision of the line of sight through the city, right by current Heath City Hall with our current ball fields, and going through to work with the citizens and figure out exactly what they want, how does this fit into the downtown overlay, and ultimately having a pedestrian-friendly city of Heath and downtown Heath. So with this, we're going to go with you as these pictures are really, really pretty, but this is really, really expensive. So, it's one of these things of what's the magic formula? Somehow we have to pay for this, but the citizens all want it. So that's the fine line of what economic development works with the city to find how can we find alternative financing and monetization resources to bring in the funds we need to build things like this, but keeping our density constant, not going out and doing anything stupid, and having the city of Heath be able to double in the course of the next 10 to 15 years, and actually have it a place where people who are currently living in Heath want to stay in Heath, and other residents want to move to Heath as a premier location, east of Dallas. Also, we have other areas of growth for the EDC and different businesses. This is right next to Corky's property here at Alliance Bank on Horizon Road. My businesses are both on Horizon Road in this yellow. I call this the gingerbread district. This is where we basically have little houses that kind of look like gingerbread houses on the road that are actual businesses, doctors, dentists, investment companies, accountants, our little oil and gas business. So there's lots available in the gingerbread district around the corner here of a different additional land to build out, of which we're working with many parties with the EDC of potential, again, public-private opportunities to come in. So the key in the community and the business development side and the EDC side of the community is ultimately, the combination of the public and the private and community support. So our goal is public-private partnerships and really understanding what our citizens want, but then being able to fund them in a manner and a way that actually makes it worthwhile and reasonable for our citizens to live in Heath and keep Heath. So with that, we're looking to grow for a brighter future and want to keep Heath as a premier lakefront community on our side of East Dallas in conjunction with all of you. We want to keep as many of our residents in the city of Heath that we can, but ultimately we understand they're going to go to the different cities around us for certain things, and we're okay with that. And you should be too. Any questions?
David, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So Jordan, thank you, sir. It stands out from that presentation and knowing who you are and knowing who you want to be, establishing a plan and executing that plan. So great job. A couple of comments on your development. Anybody been to Standard Service yet? Pretty cool place in it. The 740, congratulations on Tom Thumb. I was a former city council member and mayor of the city of Rockwall. Used to always say, we agree with you, how important 740 was, because that was the pathway for you guys to get to Kroger and Target in Rockwall. So congratulations on Tom Thumb. Let's make our way into McClendon Chisholm. And let's welcome to the stage Lorna Kippett. Lorna is the mayor pro tem of McClendon Chisholm, Texas. She has been on the city council since 2019. Lorna and her family moved to Rockwall County in 2010 because of her husband Mark's job relocation and have no plans to ever leave. Besides being a member of the city council, Lorna is always active in the American Legion, or is also active, in the American Legion and the Rockwall County Republican Women's Group. Lorna is very involved with the Terry Fisher American Legion Post 117 and runs the Boys State and Girls State programs for Rockwall County youth. Lorna grew up in Peninsula, Ohio, a small town of 600 people, so she is very familiar with small town politics and the issues concerning small towns such as growth and economic development. After graduating from Bowling Green State University, Lorna was commissioned in the United States Air Force. Lorna served in the Air Force as an intelligence officer for 20 years with a career that spanned the world. After retirement, Lorna focused her community service efforts at her daughter's schools. She also volunteered at civic organizations to include the Tucson Assistance League and numerous officer spouses clubs. Lorna's husband, Mark, is her strongest supporter and has been for 34 years. Mark was also in the Air Force, retiring as a senior officer in 2005. Mark and Lorna have a marvelous daughter, Maddie, who lives in Rowlett and works for a Fortune 500 company. Lorna considers herself extremely blessed and pledges to continue to serve the community of McClendon Chisholm to the best of her ability. Let's welcome Lorna Kippett.
Thank you, Judge. I think the introduction was actually longer than my presentation, which I'm sure you'll be happy to hear about. Before I get started, though, I would like to introduce to you some folks that came from McClendon Chisholm today. We have our city administrator, Lisa Palumba. She really runs the city single-handedly, and we would be lost without her. Also with us is Trudy Westner. Trudy is a council member and has been on council with me since 2019, so we were both reelected this year. And then Dan Tucker, one of our freshman city council members that is doing a great job hitting the ground running. And last but not least is one of the members of our Planning and Zoning Corporation Commission, as well as you'll hear about our comprehensive plan rewrite, one of the lead of our CPEC, and also my husband, Mark Kimmett. So let me get started. So McClendon Chisholm, what's new and where we're headed? If you really think about it, McClendon Chisholm is where Heath was perhaps 15 or 20 years ago. So we're getting the benefit of learning lessons that Fate and Rockwall and Heath have learned, and it's really helping us in our planning. And a lot of our time, we do try to crosstalk with the other cities because it only helps us out. Do this right? No. There we go. So who's McClendon? Who are McClendon Chisholm? McClendon Chisholm, as everyone has said, they're a one-of-a-kind city. Well, guess what? We really are one-of-a-kind city. And what's really important to our citizens is the maintenance of our open spaces. I'm sure if you've driven down 205, any point between the Rise facility and the crossroads of our little town, you'll see there's a lot of wide open spaces. Well, that goes for 12 miles, 6 miles either way. We're a very, very heavily dependent farming community right now. But those farmers are getting tired of farming, and they're looking at other ways to do their business. So we're changing, and you're going to hear that as I go on. But we still are very fiercely trying to protect our wide open spaces and our peaceful way of life. So population growth trend. Everyone has said that their population has grown. This slide shows that we're almost to 4,000 from the 2020 census. And back in 2010, we were a little bit over 1,000. So we figure it's about a 60% increase in population. And McClendon Chisholm is a bunch of different subdivisions that are trying to connect into one big city and one big community. And so that's pretty much what our goal has been, is try to connect those different subdivisions to have a city feel. So our population is growing, and we have one major subdivision in our city called Sonoma Verde, and it is right now a very good example of proper growth. It's a beautiful facility just off 205, but that's the only place that we have dense housing. And most of our houses are in one acre minimum lots. So we do have quite a bit of wide open spaces and country style estates. So our property values, such as everyone's cities, I'm sure, but our property values have dramatically increased, and the average cost of a home in McClendon Chisholm right now is around $580,000. That's not your first-time home buyer. So we're pretty much excluding that market if you wanted to live in McClendon Chisholm. Again, something that we see as something that we need to be concerned about so that we have availability for all folks. I'm really proud of this slide because when you start doing your budget back a year ago for the coming year, you don't realize what you did. So I really want to highlight a couple of things, and I'll go into depth in a couple other slides. But for some cities, this might be what you do in 1 month. But this is not our city. We have a city administrator, a city secretary, a part-time city secretary, and a code enforcement officer that works part-time. That's our city staff. The rest we either have to contract out, such as our city planner and our city attorney, or we work collaboratively together with our city council. So a lot of times our city council members end up being the doers. And one thing, for example, our Christmas tree lighting. Not a really big deal, but we didn't have anything like that till a couple of years ago when Trudy Westner started it. That is the kind of event that we try to do to bring our community together. Another thing that folks didn't have was animal control. We live in the country. Unfortunately, a lot of pets get dumped in the county, in our city. And what do? You know, we don't have services with Rockwall. Rockwall's filled up. So we had to partner with a local company for animal control, just to provide that service. So on Friday afternoon, when that dog gets dumped or you've misplaced your dog, you have a number to call. That's new to our city this year. Code compliance. People expect to have their concerns answered. We never had code compliance. Our city manager at the time, several years ago, would do that himself or herself. The phone rings 1 minute, she's talking to a developer about a huge development that wants to move into the city. The next second, you've got somebody calling saying, the neighbor's grass isn't cut. So those kind of things is something that a code compliance officer has really benefited and supported our citizens. I'm proud to say that our folks stayed open, our fire department, our folks stayed open all during the COVID crisis. We didn't miss a beat. And then during the winter storm, we opened up and became one of the warming centers. So we were very proud of the fact that we got to do that. I'm going to go on next to some of the major things that we've done this past year, starting with our public safety improvements. We are in the middle of constructing our first fire station. We've got the funding for the fire station from TxDOT. So that means that we haven't had to use our local taxpayer funds at all to construct the new three-bay fire station. We're really proud of the fact that we're going to have that in our city, and it's being constructed right next to our city hall. So we also had to purchase a new fire engine, and we were able to do that with cash too. So our goal is to try to stay out of debt as much as possible. So we'll be christening the building probably around Thanksgiving, I think, is when it'll be finished, and we'll be really proud of that. And we named it after one of the members of our community, Mr. Mike Donegan, who was our sitting mayor for 17 years. So he just passed away. So the other thing that we've done that we're really proud of, and we've done this again with cash, was the commercial sewer installation along Highway 205. Not a big deal. I don't think a lot of you may not know, but we don't have sewer in McClendon Chisholm. We all live on septic, except for one subdivision, the new one, Sonoma Verde. So everyone has septic tanks. Well, we saw the opportunity to expand our sewer because we have the funds that we felt would have been a good purchase, and we put in commercial sewer along 205 from the Sonic up to Sonoma Verde, if you're familiar with that. And we've done it on both sides of the road. So we're really happy to say that the Rossini Vineyards have just completed their construction, and they're our first customers on tap for commercial sewer. Because who wants to drink wine when there's sewer going, septic going? So right now, our only current city debt is from the construction of our city hall, which we feel very proud about. This is a rendering of our fire station. And this is our new fire engine. We should be getting it within the week. And the Rossini Vineyards, and the Rossinis are here in the audience. I'd like to personally thank them for the work that they've done to bring things to McClendon Chisholm. So, a couple of other cities have talked about developing their comprehensive plan. We're in the middle of that too. We last did our comprehensive plan in 2016. So what we felt was imperative was community involvement, and I think the other cities have done that as well, because you can't just run a comprehensive plan with just the folks on city council, because we don't have that kind of background. We don't know what the citizens want. So we've had really strong community involvement in the development of our comprehensive plan. It started with a community survey that the contractor Kimley Horn did, to ask, what do you think is what's good, what's bad, blah, blah, blah. Then they did some community in-person forums at our city hall for I think about a day. And then if you didn't feel comfortable coming to the city, we did the same thing in person. And so then they put those two, the in-person and the online results, and put them all together and did a digital forum. Then they did stakeholder interviews. I don't know if Fate did that, but it was very beneficial, talking to the farmers that had been around for a long time, talking to the school superintendent, talking to Atmos Energy, talking to various businesses, leaders, folks that have been around a long time, just to get their perspective. And then they put the plan together. The Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, which Mark spearheaded, was composed of members from about 9 different members from around the various subdivisions and members in the community. And it wouldn't work if you just had everybody from one subdivision. You needed to get a cross-reference. So we're really excited that the community was really, really involved in doing this. So where we are now, we are in the final draft phase, and I think it's going to go online for community comment, the actual plan, and it should be finalized by September 29th when we vote on it. So some of the strengths and weaknesses and what we see as an opportunity from the initial look is what I talked about earlier. Everyone wants to have that rural country feel and the open space for McClendon Chisholm. They want the large lot size. They want one minimum lot size. and and public safety. And they see public safety as a plus, which when you think about it, that's pretty much what we offer anyway. So that's where we are. So we're working on the other stuff. So some of the things that the community saw as a weakness for us is our infrastructure, and we are totally in agreement with that. 205 can be a nightmare, and that's where most people have to go. And luckily, you know, some can skirt around 550 or 1139, but 205 is our major thoroughfare. And that's going to be even more challenging when it goes under construction starting in 2024. Again, one of our problems that we have to work with. So what did we do? We built a budget for this coming year that tried to address what our day-to-day needs were, such as public safety, and what our public sees as a desire for the future. So this is where we're going. What did we do? Well, first off, we had to raise our tax rate. Our tax rate has been at 15 cents since 2015. And I think if you live in one of the other cities, you're going to go, how in the heck have you managed to do that? Well, we haven't. We've been living year to year. And this is the year that we finally decided we're not going to live year to year, and we're proposing an 18.5 cent tax rate. So what have we done to help? What are we buying with that 18.5 cents? One of the major initiatives that we're doing is we're going to hire a full-time city planner. You've got to have good planning to get something done, which we've heard, you know, over and over today. So we think that a city planner will be a great benefit to our staff. We're also going to go full-time with the code enforcement officer because that guy is really busy. Since he just started, he's been, you know, doing neighborhood checks, working with neighborhoods on their cleanups. We did a whole cleanup for the community, blah, blah, blah. We've been doing a lot with that code enforcement officer. And one of the things that we are going to do is an impact fee study. Those cost like $50,000. But if you don't do an impact fee study, a developer comes in and you don't have the ability to correctly charge them for what they're potentially going to do to your infrastructure. So we need to have that. That's in my layman's terms. I'm not the best person to articulate that, but we need to have some validity in the study to say, no, you're going to be using this road, so we need to make sure that we get reimbursed correctly. So, and the other thing that we have to do is we have to take care of roads. It used to be that McClendon Chisholm had 3 roads that we had, 3 miles of roads that we had to worry about. That's not the case anymore. We're becoming more and more responsible, working with the county, that we have more road responsibilities. So you need funds for that. So we have decided, a couple years ago, we instituted a fund balance policy, which in layman's terms is a savings account. We're putting some of those funds again into a savings account because, as you saw, last year we did a great job using our savings to purchase that fire truck and purchase that commercial sewer. So in summary, I think Mayor Short briefed this pretty much last year, but we're still on the verge of real change. I think we're going to be on the verge of real change for a little bit. I don't know that any city out here is not on the verge of change. One thing that we are striving for is smart growth, balancing our citizens' requirements with what we see as what we want the future of McClendon Chisholm to be. And we've tried to focus our budget on the present and in the future. So what's our task this year? Well, we have to strive to become less dependent on building permits. We get $808,000 from building permits. I think our budget is only, what, $3 million? $4 million? We don't have a very big, lower. She said it's lower. Math is not my strong point, poli-sci major. Our budget is around $2.5 million, $3 million. We're relying on $808,000 of that to be building permits. That's not good fiscal management. I even know that. So we're really striving to bring in and attract commercial businesses. 205 is wide open. I think the Rosinis would like some partners. So as Mayor Short said, as his dance off last year, McClendon Chisholm is open for business, and we still are open for business. So thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, same message. Kind of what I wrote down throughout Lauren's presentation there was knowing who you are, knowing where you want to go or who you want to be, and again, establishing that vision to be able to get there and executing that vision. So thank you. I just got to say one side note. And Lauren pretty sharp. She's pretty cool. So, all right, let's make our way to the far eastern portion of the county. Everybody's got to live somewhere. This is my city manager. Yeah, yes, the former mayor of Rockwall lives in Roy City. My city manager, my economic development director, and I'm going to introduce both of these two guys, and then Carl, I'll ask you to do the same as we did with the city of Faith. If you can, after you finish speaking, we'll just turn the microphone over to Charles. And comments as we transition into Roy City. We heard some of the guys talk about that earlier. Some folks referenced that if you've been to downtown Roy City. Roy City has that unique ability as they continue to be one of the fastest growing cities in North Texas to still emphasize and embrace that small town feel. And it's truly a good place to be. You guys have done a great job. A tri-city county, or excuse me, a tri-county city. I said that backwards, didn't I? As portions of Roy City are in Rockwall, in Hunt, and in Collin County. Let me introduce Carl right quick. Says, I am blessed to serve. This is Carl's words as the city manager of Roy City. Began his public service career in 1987, serving as a jailer at the Rockwall County Sheriff's Department, progressed to the department with increasing responsibilities to assume roles as the jail administrator and deputy before leaving and joined the Rockwall Police Department. While there, he gained a diverse experience background working as a patrolman, dare officer, school resource officer, sergeant, and lieutenant of police. Served as the commander of the Administration, Patrol, and Criminal Investigation Bureaus. After retiring from the Rockwall Police Department in 2010, he assumed the role of Chief of Police for Roy City. Became city manager in 2012 and enjoyed the community and very challenges associated with planning and development. He's a proud alumni at the University of Texas at Dallas and holds a BA degree in politics and government and a master's in public affairs. Married to his wonderful wife, Lisa, and has 2 children. Haley is a graduate at the University of Texas at Dallas, and Matt, Roy City High School graduate. Besides his family, his passions are diverse, very diverse, aren't they? Music, particularly, prog rock and jazz. How about that? Besides his family, Carmel glass and vintage shaving implement collecting. Might want to rather hear you talk about that rather than anything else. And reading are very enjoyable. His great joy and satisfactions with his canine children, Penny, Ellie, May, Cruz, Stormy, Sadie, and my favorite dog, Winifred. They're all elder rescue dogs with diverse and unique needs that keep him busy. He's also an advocate for Donate Texas and organ donation, particularly living donation. Talk about Charles right quick. Charles serves as the Community Development Corporation Executive Director and has lived in Roy City for 10 years. He does own Southern Junction Nightclub and Steakhouse, and he serves on the Roy City CDC board. Just is excited about the opportunity to improve Roy City's quality of life by making decisions that help bring good jobs and stable businesses to our community while balancing the current needs with our future needs as a city. City loves Roy City because being married with 3 boys, it's a great city to raise a family. Let's welcome both these 2 guys. Give a big round of applause. Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. Charles made me come up first because he said it would be twice, and I had to come up on the stage, and the odds were I would be the one to trip and fall. So we'll see if that's true. Thank you for having us here. What an exciting time. As Charles pointed out, I'm an old fellow. Began working in Rockwall in 1987. I don't see many faces that I recognize, but I do see Mr. Randolph, who's a great fellow, so it's good to see you. A lot has changed, obviously. I think we're 9,000 people in Rockwall. I started working in the old jail on top of the courthouse. Almost got killed there. That's an interesting story, but thank God that didn't happen. Worked through Rockwall, saw Rockwall grow. Opportunity happened in Roy City. It's truly a unique and special place, and we're going to talk about that here in just a second. I've been with them, I guess, 12 years, 10 years as city manager, so a lot of diverse changes. I appreciate the efforts of Fate, Athleticism, and Heath with regard to your comp plan. We did that about 3 years ago, and it's been wonderful to watch it take shape. And as you can tell from my bio, I have some weird tendencies, and I've known Judge Sweet. Where's Judge Sweet? I've known Judge Sweet for a long time. We were assistant baseball coaches, and he probably doesn't remember this, but we were sharing catching duty. And I wore a mask because, even though I have a face for radio, I didn't want to get a cut on my face. And Judge Sweet refused. Do you remember that? Yeah. And a foul ball went off the bat and hit him square between the eyes. So I went up and asked him, "Are you okay?" And you could see the the scenes. Thank God he was okay. What a county judge. Don't know that there's a better county judge in the state of Texas, and I mean that. During COVID, he kept us calm, he kept us updated, and he kept us focused. So hats off to you. I do have a weakness for rescue dogs, primarily elder senior citizen dogs that are on death row, if you will. And my wife and I go adopt them, and they live with us until they pass. And for some reason, I have a 15-year-old corn terrier with some other mixtures named Winifred Louise. She's president of Bittersweet Fan Club. So again, thank you, sir. It's a little easier today because I don't have to follow our county commissioner. She was our mayor for a long time. I'm not going to talk about how long, but she was our mayor for a while. And what a county commissioner she is. We're blessed. We're blessed with a lot of people. And if anybody set the standard for the ability to communicate with the community, it's that lady right there. So we often talk about how she's not involved in the city. A lot of great things are going on. And I have to remind her that they all have her imprints on them, and they will for a long time. But anyway, I also want to introduce our city councilman, Russell Rattery. Does a great job. Staff and council have complete trust in each other, and that's a great thing. No question, things are good in Royce City. We may approach this different, but that's okay. I don't know how to use a clicker, so. All right, this should be Clay Ellis, our mayor, but he was occupied, so it's going to be me. We're going to divide it up. Charles will get up here in a minute after we talk about some quality of life issues. And then I'll close us off with growth, which I appreciate what Mr. Lane said about growth. It's going to happen. You just have to plan it right. So appreciate your comments, sir. We are unique, 18.42 square miles, located in 3 counties. It's okay for us. I have great cooperation with the Rockwall County CAD, so most of the business aspects of it aren't challenging, but for our police department, it's strange. Depending on where you arrest somebody, you got to pick which jail you go to. So, unique. Of course, we're 9 miles from Rockwall, 30 miles east of Dallas, 19 miles west of Greenville. Probably our biggest attraction, I appreciate what Michael said about downtown, is our historic Main Street. One of the biggest proponents of Main Street, again, is former Mayor Nickel. Done a lot of things over the last 10 years. Imagine having the trust of your council and walking in 2 years ago and saying, I want to give our fire department away. With no plans on what you're going to do for another fire department, just relying on the fact that you're creative and you're going to figure it out. We did that. We did that to expand the footprint of our downtown. Have a top 10 barbecue restaurant on the west side. We're going to have a brewery / eatery on the east side. We're going to have a giant, and Charles is going to talk about that here in a minute, but I think I owe you. Anyway, have a great downtown. Very proud of our downtown. As Michael said, you don't always want to build the city around the highway, but it's going to be focused on our Main Street that we were blessed with. All right. We believe in partnerships. One of our greatest partners is Royce City Independent School District. I'm very proud with all the growth that's been going on that the school district has not had to pay for any school site in Royce City. We worked that into our negotiations with the developer. It's been a great help, and we look forward to keep doing that. 7,438 students. Their freshman class this year is almost 800. So growing very strong, and they've added over 200 kids since May. So they're busting at the seams. They've got a plan to do with that, and a fantastic superintendent that we're blessed with. We get along well. He knows we'll do anything for him. I know that he'll do anything for us. Tremendous community partner, also a great community partner with the county, and we value that. Robust and active senior citizens program. We host them at City Hall. Probably have over 100 seniors come up and get a free meal every day. If you want to have fun on bingo day, stand down on your bingo. I've done that. Lightens things up, they get kind of upset. But we feed them every day. We have programs for them. They have cardio drumming, which is kind of cool. All quality of life issues. But we take care of our seniors. Active sports complexes, have a soccer complex under construction right now, should be open by the fall. Regional parks, proud that we partnered with Royse City ISD. We're going to have a large inclusive park that's going to go in on the school side. Saved us land acquisition costs and partnership with Collin County. It should be a great thing. Again, vibrant historic Main Street. You know, we're like everybody else, very supportive of our first responders. So I gave the fire station away, so we had to figure out a way to build a new one. And we, like McClendon Chisholm, don't like to have debt. And so we were creative, built a nice state-of-the-art fire facility that will serve our needs for a long time. On Urban Campbell, September and October, Mr. Rattery and his colleagues are going to be able to set the wheels in motion for the police station, which is badly needed. In the future, we're going to have a standalone facility for the seniors, great people. Just need their own space, parks, all that good stuff. We're in a blessed spot. That population's growing tremendously. We're going to get to that here in a minute. I don't do well with, we're going to talk about just housing numbers at the end, and they're mind-blowing what's coming, and it's scary. If any of you were aware of our program before, worked with the great CDC director, Larry Lund, great guy. How did we top it? I think we did. Charles is doing a fabulous job. We have vigorous debates every morning on different points of constitutionality, but we actually get things done. So I'll let Charles come up here and talk, and then I'll close us out.
Is it shocking that a former police officer says a new police station is badly needed? The fire station was just needed, but the police station is badly needed. Well, when Miranda first sent that agenda out, I looked at it. My first thought was, I'll win the award for the longest title. But in the last year, I've always tried to abbreviate it as CDC director, but that hasn't gone over as well in the last year. So I get calls when I throw that title out that I don't want to answer and probably can't answer. So I just send those to Judge Sweet. So Carl skipped by the slide that said population growth, and it's been pretty mind-blowing. It hasn't been an accident. I've been in Royse City since 2008. My picture are a little old in there, but probably need to get that updated. But the growth is no accident. We knew it was coming. When I first got to Royse City, I was on I'll get back to that in a second. But we wanted to force developers to build quality developments, and quality is subjective. Everybody's got a little different idea about what that means. But we knew what quality meant for Royse City. We have a councilman who famously says, I don't know what it is, but I'll know when I see it. So, but what we've seen, and Carl, I'm not going to steal Carl's thunder like he tried to do with me on Main Street, but we've seen our average home values increase significantly. We've also seen our average household income, which today is almost $100,000. I'm pretty proud of the growth that's happened there since I've been in Royse City. And what that does is that puts us in conversations that when I came here, we weren't involved in. And just a little history about me. I'll go there now. I was hired 2 years ago. Sunday, it'll be 2 years, to follow up the only EDC director Royse City's ever had, Larry Lott. So it's tough to follow a legend, particularly when you have no experience in the industry. I spent the last 8 years being the first one in, the last one out of a restaurant nightclub. But I'm no stranger to Royse City. I was on the Economic Development Board for 11 years, and I served on the City Council for 6 years. I actually took over for Commissioner, I still want to say Mayor, Commissioner Nickel, when she became the mayor of Royse City. But when I first came in, all the talk was about rooftops. Get rooftops, you drive retail. Get rooftops, you drive retail. But at the same time, we were trying to preserve land. Uh-oh. I don't want that slide. I don't want any slide right now. At the same time, we were trying to preserve some land for retail development, retail and commercial development. And we'll talk through some of these. I've got more pictures than words up here. But there's still a lot of opportunity and developable land in Royse City. And that's sort of the main theme of this. We still have a lot of land to develop. But before I get there, we have seen tremendous commercial growth in Royse City. This is a slide that shows back to 2012, our sales tax income for the city, all the way up to 2021. I don't think made the graph, but it's on the chart down there. So $1.4 million in sales tax revenue in 2012. We're projecting 5.6 million this year. It's almost a 4 times increase. I mean, you can't argue with results. Also, when I came here in 2008, we would go to ICSC conventions. We'd go talk to just about anybody. Not that we were getting excited about bringing anything and everything to Royse City. We just wanted to see the growth. We just understood the impact of those sales tax dollars. But we also wanted to hear what everybody had to say. And it put us on a good trajectory to have relationships with developers and users, including, the Walmart came through those talks. And ultimately, the build out all the way around Walmart, all the way around our city, and over Buc-ee's opened right before the summit 2 years ago when I was hired. Took the director role in 2019. We knew we needed to pivot just a little bit from the way we were going. It was a long history of rooftops, retail. I knew that retail was snowballing. So now people are calling us, but you don't want all those people. We don't get excited about everything. And so I thought our approach should be less of a shotgun type approach, or as Carl says, drag the net type approach, and more like sniper rifle, where we say, we want it, we're going to go do what it takes to get it. Starbucks is an example of that. Starbucks opened in the last year. I think it was last year. And we identified them. They weren't ready to come to our market. We threw an incentive at them and convinced them with the help of a developer to go ahead and lease a space in Royse City. And it's done really well. That store is off the charts based on their projections. So targeted retail was one of the things that I was adamant about when I came in. The other was a bigger focus on jobs sector growth. We've been so focused on retail. The housing community that you're going to hear about is explosively growing. I love Rockwall. I don't mind Greenville. It's hard, there's anybody here from Greenville. But I'd rather have them work in Royse City if I can. I mean, the whole area helps the whole area, but you want to have people who work and live in your community. So jobs-based sector growth was really important to me. Tourism can be an important factor in this process. And then we can't talk about economic development in Royse City without talking about Main Street. So much that now you've heard it 3 times or 4 times since Royse City's been up here or being introduced. So just want to talk a little bit about the strategies that we've gone through. Make sure I don't need to go to a slide right now. I just want to talk a little bit about the strategies on each one of those and where we're at, where we're growing and going. We completed a void analysis in the first few months that I was here, ironically right before COVID came around, and everybody kind of stuck their head in the sand for a while. We created a void analysis to kind of figure out what our biggest needs were, what our biggest absorption could be as far as retailers, so that we could start creating targets and going after these businesses. We didn't find any surprises. Royse City needs another grocery store. That came up number 1 on the list. Number 2, casual dining restaurants. We have a lot of fast food, which cities in our cycle typically do, but we need more what we call sit-down restaurants. Big box home improvement was a little bit of a surprise, but not really when you consider the rooftop growth that's come to Royse City. And then hotel motel. So we started working with a recruiting consultant. We narrowed down our target list and the actual companies that we want to target. And we've begun working those. Of course, the higher fruit you're trying to reach for, the longer the process takes, which all you EDC directors know in here. As far as the jobs-based sector growth goes, we're looking for manufacturing distribution, just like everybody else is in that sector. We've organically gotten a lot of interest because of the developable land, frankly. And we've been working through that process, and we do have a bunch of stuff kind of bubbling under the surface that nobody's pulled the trigger on, but we've also put into place a business retention and expansion program where we go out and talk to some of our local in-city bigger employers. And through that, we uncovered a need over in our industrial park where we've got a company over there that's going to add 30,000 square feet of manufacturing space, 2 new lines of production, and 30 employees. And so when we found out that the only hesitation that they had was they needed a little help to get over the top. It's a business that's been there since 1982. They've grown their company many multiples of dollars and employees. And so the EDC was able to come in and help them get over the hump. And we've entered into a performance agreement with them, and hopefully that line will hit probably middle next year sometime. On the tourism side, we identified that we need more family entertainment options and places for families, people to take their whole family and hopefully spend a bunch of money, hopefully draw from a far reach. And also youth sports. There's a huge market out there, as most people in this room know, for youth sports. And youth sports facilities, particularly east of the Metroplex, are lacking. Frankly, lacking. And so we have places for all this stuff. We have a lot of interest. Not going to give away any trade secrets up here, but we have a lot of interest and a lot of people planning. So this is the site around Walmart. You see the Walmart there. Every pad that was part of that development is gone. They're all built and used except for one, and it's very close to being used and built. The areas in red and some of the green areas around it, we've had a developer bring to us a concept plan that includes 500,000 square feet of distribution space and some flex office, along with bringing the road all the way behind Walmart down to the highway to create better circulation. Again, I heard somebody talk, I think it was Judge talk about 740, bringing people to Rockwall to shop in the stores. Again, if you right now pass the Tractor Supply, you got to go all the way to Fate and turn around. There's a witch down there too. So. This is the area right across Irby Campbell from the Walmart site, CVS anchored site. There's an Express Car Wash, the Burger King. One of those other lots is gone. The other one has an LOI pending. And then just last night, the council approved an incentive it's a 14-bed hospital, 10 ER beds, 4 inpatient beds with a full lab and all of the medical equipment to diagnose and treat. So just last night, an incentive was approved by the council on that pad. This one is back across the street from Walmart. We've got 7-Eleven that owns the hard corner there at the south. This is southeast corner of Irby Campbell and 30. 7-Eleven owns the hard corner. The rest of it is shovel ready for a user. We had a junior box that was going to go in there, and just due to their own internals, they pulled the plug on it. But they did all the horizontal work to get ready, and it's just sitting there ready for another user. This is over Royce City Town Center, right by the football stadium. We've seen several concept plans for this. Don't know if it's going to wind up looking exactly like this mixed-use concept, but he has a contract for one pad user and 2 more LOIs on other pads that are pretty close to getting under contract as well. National brands that you would recognize and that we're going to be proud to have in Royce City. Did I miss one? There's a slide missing in here, but that's okay. Buc-ee's also owns 25 acres back to their west that they're in total control of. I don't know if anybody here has ever dealt with Buc-ee's corporate, but they're very particular about what they want. They're very particular about what they'll allow to go in beside them. If they can control it, they're going to control it. And so that's been a slower process than we want. But again, we cannot talk about Royce City without talking about our attention to downtown. We have 3 goals, or I have 3 goals in downtown. I don't know if these are down on paper or somewhere, but this is what I keep in mind. We want to attract businesses that add energy and life to downtown. We want to expand our downtown outward geographically, and we want to get creative about addressing the parking. Anybody with a downtown, that is the problem there. An example of how we've tried to do this is Smoke Sessions. I don't remember who mentioned it before. Smoke Sessions is a Texas monthly recognized barbecue restaurant. The atmosphere is fun and family friendly. You see people out there playing cornhole, they have live music, just a cool place to hang out and enjoy a good meal and a good time. And we did a public-private partnership to add 1.5 acres of parking to be accessible to downtown. And there's a shared use agreement between that parking. I'll just share the details with you. For the first 3 years, the CDC owns the parking lot with Smoke Sessions having use of that lot. If they meet all their performance and operational standards in 3 years, we convey that property to them and we get the use agreement on it. So just a little creative way to try to help our downtown parking situation. And I hope what I've talked about today illustrates our commitment to economic growth, but more importantly, strategic growth. We're at a place now where we can be a little more pickier and choosier about what we want to come to Royce City, and we're trying to be smart about that. And I'm going to throw it back to Mr. Alsabrook to talk more about residential growth. Also exciting. I'm going to hold on to it, Steve.
All right, I'm cognizant of the time, and I realize we only have 4 minutes, so we'll speed through. It's no surprise residential growth is happening to us all. It's a great thing in some ways. 2021, I mean, if you look, 2011 had 66 house permits. 2021, we're going to end the year in excess of 1,400. That's a lot for small staff process, but they do a great job. We'll talk more about the residential here in a second. The real sobering numbers are right now, as of right now, you have 12,480 lots being developed. 12,480 lots being developed. Council asked me last night what kept me up at night, and this is one of those things. Prospective growth right now in some stages of planning, we have 8,700 homes. So an interesting thing happened probably about a year ago. Council got pretty strict on what they wanted as far as the house. It had to be unique, driven by Commissioner Nickel, had to be unique. Value had to be there, value had to be accelerated. Couldn't just be a cookie cutter development. What do developers do? They gripe, they complain, I can't make it, storm out. And within 2 or 3 months, they're back with exactly what you asked for. So, had some very unique offerings. When I talked about the soccer complex, that was done by a developer. It's going to be a nice soccer complex open to the community. When we talk about school sites, that's the first thing that's asked for. By the city, you got to get a school site, depending on how big it is. So it's working to our benefit. These numbers are scary. We got to stay ahead of it, but we've had the plan. Not a whole lot you can do about it. You just have to get the best things you have. I think that's all I am. Charles was sitting down, but if you have any questions. Oh, infrastructure, sewer plant upgrade. We've had to double. North Central Texas called if we have any, North Texas Municipal Water District. If we have any representatives here, I apologize, but we asked them to double it when they built it, and they didn't, so we're doubling it again. Improve water line capacity, reconstruction of City Street, should be doing several of those this year. 2642, thanks to our friends in Hunt County, that entire corridor will be 4-lane divided concrete, curb and gutter sidewalks, which will help our high school out. Again, park expansion and construction, new fire station, new police station. That must have been the key that we were out of time. But does anybody have any questions? We're pretty good at answering questions. If anybody has any, if not, I'll give it back to somebody.
Man, a bunch of government officials on time. This is amazing. We probably do have a little time. Does anybody have any questions for our presenters today? I know we rolled through that pretty quick, and I saw some chatter amongst the tables, but if there's any questions.
Any possibility of getting a copy of the slides?
For everyone but anyone named Jerry.
Okay.
For sure. No, Miranda, are we gonna have, or Sean, are we gonna have it? Sean has some slides. Are we gonna post it? Sean?
I'll check with the speakers, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good point. We may need to check on what can be posted or not. Kevin?
Are the cities adjusting for anything such as, since COVID's affected a lot of the cities, are they doing anything for commercial, whether it be shared office spaces or something like that, or are they trying to go more commercial business in any city?
Did you guys hear that okay?
We have several shared offices. Probably not unique, but we have several shared offices concepts coming. Actually predated COVID, so maybe that was prescient action on our part, but should be open fairly quickly, one of which will be on Main Street.
Heath has a co-create.
Yeah, there's the co-create in Heath. That's right.
It closes on the 31st.
For a little while.
There you go.
Building got sold.
Okay. Any other questions? Did I answer it, Kevin?
Yes.
Oh.
What about the outer loop going through?
Outer loop going through Royce City.
It's on the books. 7 or 8 years, they're serious enough about it. We got lucky about a year and a half ago and were able to coach one of the lead engineers for TxDOT, bring her on board, which was great. We're gonna add to her staff this year. But she's been able to work with Collin County and Rockwall County, and they're actually moving forward, and I think we'll see that happen within the next, probably, Judge, 5-6 years, see some work. Final route has been decided, at least to 30 where it terminates. There's still some questions south of 30. It's going real well.
Any others? Surprised no one brought up the I-30 expansion, which is a enormous topic for all the businesses and residents of the affected areas, which is basically Bass Pro Shop all the way to the east of Royce City, so our entire Rockwall County. But that is going to be major. I know from a county side, Judge Sweet's got a website up that has a lot of details on I-30 website, on I-30 expansion. It's going to be here before we know it, and it's going to be here for a long time. So please work with your city officials, get ahead of that. I know a lot of the cities have some preemptive plans or trying to get ahead of this, but that's going to be a significant impact to us personally and professionally for many years. Any other questions?
One more.
Sir. Corky.
Yeah, this is for actually Mayor Pro Tem Hood.
There's a large tract of land that's under contract in McClendon Chisholm's ETJ, the Huffines Group. Certainly you've heard about it, I'm sure, but I think some of that falls in Heath's ETJ, some of it's Rockwall's ETJ, some of it's your ETJ. Are you guys on top of that? So that you guys can tell them how you'd like for it to be developed as opposed to them telling you how they want it developed.
Yes. Okay. One more, and then we should probably come on up here.
Hey, my name is Cesar Bulgarian. I'm the VP of Finance for JCK Corporate. My question is for one of the cities. I wanted to see, I guess my statement is we love to see the new guys coming in the block. I just want to know what incentives each city has for those businesses that can leverage their services right now. And they can help us out become part of this growth that we keep on seeing instead of just bringing more people in to do those services.
Anybody? Michael, you got pointed to. There you go.
Yeah, existing, we've got a new staff member that one of her tasks is to help existing businesses, so that's a new addition. And I know Rockwall's got a good host of people too. Royce City does a good job of that. But yeah, what you see for we're a little bit different. Our focus is more on kind of creating that place, and then as that place is created, we can bring those businesses in. But we do have, the existing folks. So we are trying to work with them, bring them up a little bit, and it is always good. I love that knock and talk sort of strategy that Royce City used, because you guys may be expanding, we don't even know it, and you need some help and so forth. So I think we're open to that, and and we may not have that on our radar, or we may not, like for Fate, we're focused on kind of building that town center. But if people, as the business community, if you guys are thinking about doing something and you're like, we need, maybe we need some help, but we don't know how to ask, contact the EDC people and let them know what's going on, because sometimes we know and sometimes we don't. And we can be part of that, solution.
Yeah, I think sorry, Lauren, just due to time, the answer is gonna be, it's gonna vary from city to city. That's another reason why events like this are so good, because you can learn who the people are at the city that do the different roles. And the best answer I would say is go meet with the cities that you're interested in and see, the ones that we heard, everybody's got their own little spin, right? Their own uniqueness that they want, their own identity that they want. So meet with your city officials that you learned through today. Get more in depth and find out what's good for your business or your business expansion, or personally if you want to do something as well. Now you have an avenue and a venue to meet these people and talk with them. So once again, we'll wrap it up. Thank you to our presenters. Thank you to our sponsors. Happy to be back, and please look forward to seeing you at the next lunch. Thank you.